You know that feeling, right? You finally think you've got a handle on Next.js, and then bam, a new version drops and everything's different. New caching rules, a new way to structure your folders, a whole new data fetching strategy. It seriously feels like the finish line is always moving.
But here's the thing. This latest evolution of Next.js, it isn't just another small update. It's a complete top-to-bottom paradigm shift. Honestly, this feels like the version that finally gets it right, where all the different pieces just click.
So, how do we wrap our heads around all of this? Well, we're going to break this whole new way of thinking down into 5 core ideas. These ideas don't just explain what's new, but more importantly, why it all matters. And by the end, you'll see the whole picture, the blueprint for building really modern, scalable apps.
Okay, first up, we need to get our heads around a really fundamental shift. For years, we've thought of React as the core, with Next.js kind of layered on top. But with these latest versions, you have to see Next.js not just as a helper for your UI, but as the foundation for your entire application.
Think of it like this. React is an incredibly powerful engine. But hey, an engine by itself isn't a car, right? Next.js is the whole car. It takes that amazing engine and builds everything else around it. Routing, server rendering, data caching, image optimization, it's all there, right out of the box. So you don't have to waste time piecing together a dozen different libraries yourself.
The second big idea is the App Router. This is now the official, recommended way to build your Next.js apps, and it's really the key that unlocks all the best new features, from server components all the way to streaming. And the beauty of this system is just how simple it is. You want a new page at, say, /dashboard, you just create a dashboard folder and you pop a page.tsx file inside. That's it. Seriously, the route is live. It completely gets rid of complex config files and just uses a folder structure that you can understand at a glance.
All right, our third idea. This one is a total reversal of what many of us are used to. The new philosophy is server first. And what that means is, by default, your components are now going to render on the server, not in the browser.
And this breaks it down perfectly. The idea is that most of your apps should be built with server components. Why? Because they're fast, they're secure, they can talk directly to your database, and maybe best of all, they send zero JavaScript to the user. You only opt into a client component by adding that little use client directive when you absolutely need that browser interactivity, like, handling a button click or managing some state. This whole server-first approach makes incredible performance features like streaming possible. Instead of your user just staring at a blank screen or a loading spinner, they get the fast parts of your UI, like the header and the sidebar, almost instantly. It's like getting the appetizers before the main course arrives. This makes a huge difference for core web vitals like time to first byte, and just makes the whole experience feel lightning fast.
Now let's move on to our fourth idea, and you'll see how this all starts to build on itself. Because everything is server first, the way we get data from our database and send data back to it has become so much simpler and more powerful.
This is a total game changer. In the old days, to submit a form, you had to create a separate API endpoint, write a bunch of fetching logic on the client, manage loading states. It was a whole thing. Now with server actions, you just write a function, you mark it with useServer, and you can call it directly from your React component. It completely eliminates all that boilerplate for API routes.
And fetching data is just as simple. Remember trying to keep the differences between get static props and get server-side props straight in your head? Yeah, you can pretty much forget all that. Now you just use the standard fetch API that you already know and love. Next.js just extends it with some simple caching options, which makes your whole data strategy way more explicit and predictable.
Okay, for our fifth and final idea, let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture. Next.js doesn't exist in a vacuum. It's really the heart of a modern, type-safe, and production-ready ecosystem that real teams are using to build amazing things today.
So when you're building with Next.js, you're usually pairing it with awesome tools like Neon for your serverless database, a type-safe ORM like Prisma to talk to that database, plug-and-play Auth from a service like Clerk to handle all your users, and a fantastic component library like Shadcn and UI. Every single one of these tools is designed to fit perfectly into this full-stack, server-first world.
And that brings us to a really crucial point, which is captured perfectly in this quote from Ankita Kulkarni. By mastering the stack, you're not just learning some abstract concepts, you are learning the actual patterns and tools that high-performance, production-ready teams rely on every single day.
So, after all that, what's the big takeaway? It's that Next.js has truly matured. It's not just a piece of the puzzle for your React UI anymore.
It is a fully integrated, full-stack framework that's designed to help you build the entire application, from the database query all the way to the final pixel on the screen.
Which leaves us with one final, pretty big question to think about. As frameworks like this become the new standard, are we actually witnessing the future of web development? A future that is server-rendered by default, completely type-safe from front to back, and just seamlessly full-stack? Next.js 16 certainly makes a very compelling case.